I, 28 male, have 3 kids with my ex. We were together 7 years. She cheated after our first kid was born and I forgave her. She cheated again last year and I broke up with her. She got pregnant from that cheating and now has another kid. I'm a good dad to our kids. We share custody, I support my kids financially, and I will never leave my kids. But she keeps asking me to take on her other kid and wanting me to step in and be the dad he doesn't have. His father doesn't want to know, apparently, and because our kids still have me, it's not fair, and I could be a great dad for him. It pisses me off because I had to pay for a DNA test to be 100% sure. I then had to deal with her family giving me shit for leaving her while she was pregnant. Now they all want me to be the better man and raise her kid with someone else. And I've got to ask, where does the shit end? What if she ends up with another kid from another deadbeat? Do I gotta keep raising her kids until she's done having them? I take care of my kids. I love my kids, but they're my responsibility. Her other kid is not. I don't want to be on the hook for picking up after her the rest of my life. I just want to be a good dad to my kids, man. I don't hate the kid. I know it's not his fault, but he is not my responsibility. Am I the a-hole? Your primary duty is to your kids. She must find the kid's biological father, too, if she cares so much. There's no reason for you to raise your wife's affair. You can inform her that you can get full custody of your children, thereby allowing her to look after the other one full time. Therefore, if you don't currently have primary custody, you could consider obtaining it. Maybe that way she'll have time to look for a new baby daddy for the kid. Now for some comments. So sorry for the situation you're in. I feel your pain. If they all live under one roof with her, your child support's going to keep him fed and clean. Truth, he's not your kid, but you can be a positive influence on him, and that will affect your kids in a positive way. It sucks. You don't deserve this. Either way, if you show that child love and compassion, or just ignore him, it will have an effect for the rest of his life. You being a good person has nothing to do with her or his father. I don't know if you're an asshole or not, but I feel horrible for the poor kid that's caught in the middle of all this. He has to grow up not only seeing that his half-siblings have a good dad and he doesn't, but the only family experience he gets is from her side that is fine with infidelity and manipulation. It might be smart for you to at least be present for him too. If anything, it'd give him some sort of role model. It's not your responsibility, but at the same time, the only one that's really being punished is the kid. Everyone sucks here except the kids. Your ex most of all. She really, really sucks. But you do need to consider that that kid who isn't yours is still a child, a living being who didn't have anything to do with any of this. That kid is sibling to your children. You can't pretend they never existed. And by being related to your children, that kid is actually already part of your family. Your ex is crappy and doesn't deserve any consideration. But it's not your kid's fault, and they do deserve consideration. They deserve to have a good relationship with their sibling and to know that every child in their household is cared for. Maybe it'd be possible to see that kid as the Harry Potter to your kid's Ron Weasley. They're a kid who needs care and who is close to your biological children. Story 2. Here are the key details. My 34, wife 32, Wendy and I met through friends 7 years ago, dated for 2 years, and had been married for 5 years, just after I finished law school. I worked my tail off as an associate at my firm, putting in 60 hours a week for the first 2 years of our marriage. That effort paid off, and I'm doing well professionally. Wendy was a teacher at a private school, but as soon as we got married, she quit so she could go back to school for her master's in education, and is currently in an educational doctoral program while working part-time. This was a bit of a financial strain, since I wanted to pay off my student loans as quickly as possible, but we managed. My wife had an old laptop that she was using when we started dating. I found it in a box in her closet. She said it crashed and wouldn't work any longer. I plugged it in, tried to turn it on. Nothing. When we met, Wendy took pictures of everything, primarily selfies of her and others. Knowing that she must have had some pictures of us from that time, I yanked the hard drive and looked at it. It seemed okay. Problem must have been somewhere else. Wanting to surprise her with pictures of when we first started dating, I waited until she left to go visit her sister before I plugged it into an SATA cable connector to my PC. There were pictures there. Plenty of pictures. Some were of us on dates, laughing, smiling. They brought back some good memories. But there were also others of her with different people. One person in particular I remembered. His name was Bob, and Wendy had dated him before me. There were lots of pictures of her and Bob. I wanted to grab only our pictures, so I thought the easiest way would be to organize them by date, figuring the latest pictures would be of only us. But when I clicked them by date, a lot of her pictures with Bob were jumbled up with pictures of us. I began to open the pictures one by one and noticed that in a few of her pictures with Bob, where they were cuddling and kissing, she was wearing a necklace locket that I'd given her as a birthday present in the second year we were dating. I had to borrow the money from her brother to buy it. I looked at the dates on the pictures and a pattern emerged. On the days and weekends when school required my undivided attention, the times when she went to her mother's house or her sister's house to give me peace and quiet, she was meeting up with Bob behind my back. I was furious. It felt like fire ants were chewing on my brain, my heart, in my guts. I wanted to punch through the walls, but then something snapped and I went numb. I began to see and think in very cold analytical terms. I copied all of her pics, all of them, not just those I'd seen, to a flash drive. I packed a bag, grabbed some suits, took the thumb drive, and went to stay with my brother across town. I left her laptop hard drive plugged into my PC with a picture of her kissing Bob on the monitor. The only note I left behind was a sticky note with an arrow on it pointing to the necklace locket. Wendy tried to call me from her mother's house, if that's where she really was, but I didn't answer. It wasn't until a few hours later, after she presumably got back to our apartment and saw the picture on the monitor, that she blew up my phone with voicemails and texts. I ignored them all. I've already met with another associate who works in the family law department about separation and divorce. We have no children or real property, since a lot of our money went to paying off my loans and for her tuition. My firms circle the wagons around me, so her calls go to voicemail. She's not allowed onto the property. Security already turned her away. Wendy tracked me down at my brother's house, but he made it clear to her on the phone that if she tries to come over, he'll set his Dobermans on her. He told me she was screaming, sobbing, and begging on the phone. It didn't make me sad or happy or anything. No pain, no anger, nothing. How is it possible that I have no more feelings for her? No desire to ever see her again. No desire to reconcile. Now that I'm alone with my thoughts, feeling this nothing for her scares me. Is this going to last? Am I still in shock? Am I permanently broken? The upside is that I've never seen clear solutions in my cases. Update. First, let me thank everyone for your replies. I'm overwhelmed by the positive responses and want to thank everyone who experienced the same numbness for sharing with me. It helps to know that it's a normal response. I'll look into individual counseling in the near future. The associate at my firm handling my case, let's call her Gail, reviewed the other pictures on the flash drive and found quite a few where Wendy is cuddling, kissing Bob, and the engagement ring I gave her is easily discernible. When I was told this, I didn't feel any pain or anger, only elation. I smiled. Oddly enough, I asked Gail why this awful news made me happy. She said it's because it vindicates every action I've taken since I left. I've been NC with Wendy and all communications have been through Gail, except for her family and friends who mistakenly think my brother and his wife will be a sympathetic ear. They're not. Gail's already prepared a separation agreement and scheduled a meeting with Wendy on Thursday afternoon. Gail made it clear to Wendy that if she isn't represented by counsel, then I won't be attending. A word about Gail. I can't post her firm nickname, but let's say if you think Pit Viper, you'd get the right idea. I'm glad she's on my side. We'll be filing the petition for divorce shortly. Gail believes any spousal support will be minimal and end quickly. I.e., she said I'll likely get stuck paying the rent for the next 5 months until our lease ends and Wendy completes the last of her doctoral courses. The only significant asset we have is the account with our savings for a down payment on a house, but it's a dual signature account with no ATM access. Thank you, long-forgotten bank guy, for suggesting that as an extra security measure against fraud. My SIL went over to my apartment when Wendy was supposed to be at her part-time job to grab more of my clothes and personal items. She ended up listening to Wendy for a couple of hours. The Redditor who said Wendy would straight up lie about pretty much everything nailed it. The whole time SIL was packing up my stuff, Wendy was telling one easily provable lie after another. Getting nowhere, Wendy asked SIL, "Isn't there a guy in your background that just gets inside your head and you can't say no?" So I guess my answer to why she cheated: Bob is a Jedi, and Wendy is weak-minded. By the way, SIL did answer her question. Yes, I married him. Spending time with my brother's family has kept me from feeling isolated. My nephews are crushing me in video games, and I'm enjoying every second of it. Work's going great, and the partner who oversees my department stopped by to tell me that he's really proud of how I haven't let this personal issue negatively affect my work. Well, that's it for now. Thank you to everyone who replied with supportive posts. I can't explain how much it helps to know that I'm not the only one to go through something like this, or the apathy I feel toward my soon-to-be ex. I believe you manage the situation with clarity, more effectively than the men you frequently encounter who plead with their wayward spouses to salvage the relationship. In my opinion, this stems from a deep-seated lack of self-esteem, which drives them to seek validation from their spouse's forgiveness to regain a sense of self-worth. You're secure in your self-value, and you refuse to give her an opportunity to spread lies or make you out to be the bad guy. I'm impressed. Should she require someone to confide in, she should reach out to Bob. Now for some comments. Excellent. Blindsided, regrouped, plan of action, pulled the ripcord, and safe landing. Besides your career, go do what you always wanted to do. Learn to fly, sailing lessons, sailplane lessons, scuba, kiteboarding, race car driving lessons. You'll meet new and interesting people while learning and having fun. Congratulations on achieving apathy toward your wayward wife. That is the state of being to aim for when ditching a cheater. Some of us have struggled for years to achieve the zen of meh. It appears that you are the anti-manipulation Jedi Master. Great job and good riddance to her.